By now, I am sure, you have seen these amazing footages of amazing Chinese megacities many times already. Shanghai, Chongqing, and Shenzhen are the symbols of so-called Chinese economic miracle. In 40 years, China went from an impoverished nation to the second largest economy in the world. However, people have not paid sufficient attention to the other side of the coin. In terms of per capita GDP, China is still a poor country. In 2022, the US per capita GDP was 70,000, and Mexico's was 10,000, while China's was 12,000, a bit better than Mexico. As China's late Premier Li Keqiang admitted not long ago, 600 million Chinese citizens' monthly income was only 1,000 yuan, about $150. 600 million Chinese are almost twice of the entire US population. And with $150 a month, they certainly could not afford living in these high-rises, because an apartment there costs more than in New York City. So, where do they live? The often neglected fact is that in each and every Chinese megacity, there are many large slums, and prostitution has been rampant there. That is the story here. Here is one of Shanghai's slum neighborhoods, and most of the residents are migrant workers from the countryside. The city government has already moved the original residents here into newly built high-rises, in order to acquire the land here, to sell to the developers. But, before these old structures would be demolished, migrant workers moved in, with cheap rent. As you can see, in these poor neighborhoods, there are a lot of young women dressed provocatively, with short shirts, black silk pantyhose, and bright tops. They simply stand at the doorway of the house, or sit in the narrow alleyway. Everyone knows that they are prostitutes waiting for Johns. Some of the males walking around here appear to be looking for girls, since there is nothing else here that is slightly interesting or attractive. The alleyway could be quite crowded sometimes though. Because there are so many of them, the going price for their sexual services drop to anywhere between 80 and 150 yuan, or about 10 to 20 US. But the service is quick and simple too. In 15 or 20 minutes, when a pop is out, the business is finished. The girl gets the money, and the man leaves. There is no bathroom or indoor plumbing here, let alone air condition. The Chinese call this, one cannon shot. Or fast food in a meat market. As pitiful as is, what else these girls can do? There are 20 to 30% of college graduates could not find job nowadays, and the government stopped publish unemployment statistics. What kind of luck these slum girls have to land a decently paid job? On the other hand, if one girl could provide one session of service with 80 yuan minimum pay, she still could have a monthly income of 2,400 yuan, which is a decent income level in China. For this reason, this type of slum prostitution is all over China. Here is Chongqing, the second largest city. Under the shadow of modern glamorous high-rises, the slum girls are standing at the doorways, attracting passers-by. Some of them appear to be potential Johns. This is a heavy traffic area, with a police station right there. But this could not stop the girls from doing their business, right under the nose of the police. Sometimes, a few of them would get together, standing in a hallway or a street corner, attracting curious or horny eyes. Sometimes, 2 or 3 of them would sit in a room, with the door wide open to the street. Once a man walked in, they would close the door behind. Unlike in Bangkok or elsewhere, street girls would appear usually after dark. The Chinese slum girls are there working 24 hours a day, day and night. With such a hyperactive situation of prostitution in slum neighborhoods, it would not be a surprise that sexually transmitted diseases are rampant there as well. This big sign with red crosses for a STD clinic in the area. Yet, right in the clinic's hallway, 2 young women were there, waiting for customers. If police and disease could not stop them, nothing else would. More concerning is the fact that China's slum has been spreading in the last decade, while the small business sector having a hard time. 15 years ago, this 4-story circular building was a vibrant market, filled with small stores, restaurants, tea or coffee shops, etc. But they started to fail and forced to close. After 3 years of COVID closed down, all business in the building disappeared, with very few exceptions. This ghost building is now part of Chongqing's slum. Because the rent is cheap, the poor moved in, including some slum girls. This is not a building in a remote location, it is right in a busy and posh commercial district. However, its only vibrant business today is prostitution. A slum girl could rent a room for 200 yuan a month, yet, its location is very good. This ghost building seems to attract many wandering men, and they tend to be older guys. It is quite obvious what they are looking for here. Just like elsewhere, once a price is reached, the girl would lead the man into her room, and close the door behind. Shenzhen's slum is a bit different from Shanghai and Chongqing. As a city, it didn't exist 40 years ago. It had 50,000 population in 1980, today, its population is 12 millions. While the city center and many new factories were built, millions of migrant workers who were building them needed to be housed. With little planning and regulation, cheap neighborhoods mushroomed. They were concrete block houses of 3 to 5 stories without elevators. And they squeezed together with alleys between them so narrow, that daylight could hardly shine in. It is now in those dark narrow alleyways, prostitution is taking place day and night. Notably, both slum girls and wandering men appear to be younger than those in Shanghai and Chongqing. These young men wandering in the alley at night had one thing in mind: to find a young and cheap slum girl to have sex. They are most likely migrant workers, with little money. The going rate is similar to Shanghai and Chongqing, 80 to 150 yuan a shot, as they say. Some of the girls live there, others may come from other places, and they could rent a room in the alley, even share it with other girls. These little alleys sometimes seem to be quite busy. These narrow alleys are very busy during daytime as well. The slum girls stand there in a row, and wandering men are coming and going. One middle-aged man just walked out of a room, several men are coming this way. The busy sex trade in these alleys are so well known. The language for finding a prostitute to have sex has changed. It used to be like go for a massage, but now, the euphemism is go for a walk in the little alley. How could the Chinese government and society handle this growing problem? Please leave your comments. Thanks for watching.